Now we are joined by Sri Harsha Narasimhan, who's the CTO of Aruba, for our next session.
Hello, this is Sri Harsha, and thank you for joining us at ETBFSI this year. And I'm going to be talking about the Aruba solutions for BFSI. BFSI event, this is a platform where, we discuss, if this were in person, we would be discussing about the solutions for insurance market, the solutions for banking, fintech, as well as the financial or the non-banking financial corporations. The whole spectrum of banking services and insurance services being for the Indian market. I'm the CTO at Aruba, and I'm going to walk you through a couple of case studies and then how we are helping customers in easing their operations management on the network rollout. Especially during the pandemic, because this is where we get into hardships in terms of having people back in the branches or back in the data centers, back in the offices, and at the same time we need to make sure that they are not put into inconvenience. So I'll start with a case study, and the case study is for a non-banking financial corporation, but many of these requirements are going to be very similar for any other banking organization as well. So very first thing that this organization was looking at was, I need end-to-end encryption, for all my endpoint or end user devices. And I'm going to have a team which is going to be employees and field agents or contractors. So I need to have security so that I know where they are, what they are doing. And if somebody is out in the field connecting on a cellular network, even there, the security should be extended. And any communication with the bank and banking resources needs to be encrypted all the time. At the same time, I don't have enough or a large IT team because I'm a small bank and then I'm also a startup. And based on that, I need to be able to have the agility to work with a smaller team and manage this whole infrastructure. And this particular bank had about 600 plus branches. That is huge for a small bank. But still, nonetheless, they wanted to make sure that they have the ease and also be able to have a single centralized policy that they can manage for both wired and wireless access. Being a small bank, they had the luxury of onboarding on wireless because that's where you get the flexibility in terms of sitting anywhere and working from anywhere, especially working from home, which is one of the needs that's there today. I can go and then create a virtual client which is going to enforce the same level of security, same level of access policy as I would have at my work location. And also, with this being a non-banking financial organization and a small bank, they were looking at using a mix of devices, tablets for the field agents, and then laptops for some of them, and then a desktop or a laptop in their branches. This is where we proposed a solution and an architecture wherein you're going to have micro branch architecture in all their branches. And we didn't go with the SD-WAN over here. It was pure play network, with a centralized policy manager, and then with compliance to the RBI requirements, there was a NAC, which was also playing as a centralized policy manager for all the access. So anytime any employee or field agent was connecting to the network, they would be coming and connecting with the NAC for authentication as well as authorization. And the NAC was in turn working with the Active Directory and giving the employees role-based access so that they can work from any location at this point. So this was rolled out just before the pandemic. And during the pandemic, the benefit that this bank had was that they were able to continue the operations without any challenges. And even if they had branch shutdown, they still had the operations going on because they had the same level of secure access without any changes, without any additional products being added. And they were able to use the banking resources and then continue our operations with no change. Yes, of course, there was inconvenience in terms of the customers visiting the branches, but they could do all the operations. Customer service was one of the challenges, and then being able to access the resources seamlessly, irrespective of whether the employees were connecting on a wired network and wireless network, was one other challenge that we resolved seamlessly. This is a set of challenges that's going to be there for every bank. However, we have a legacy infrastructure that we carry, and we'll still need to work towards how do I coexist with the new infrastructure that I bring in, but at the same time bring in the seamless ability to work with the infrastructure. This is where Aruba introduces the Aruba architecture, the ESP architecture. But before that, let me just spend a couple of minutes on the challenges, real challenges that we have in the edge. Very first thing is everything is silos. So you have the branch network, okay, the headquarters, zonal office network. All these networks have different components, and then there are local infrastructure or localized infrastructure over there. And there's also centralized infrastructure, which brings in the challenge in terms of managing the whole thing. So this also inhibits us from doing any automation, because the operations which are there across different OEM products, different generations of product is going to be a challenge that we are faced with. And this becomes a hindrance, especially when we need to address a lockdown situation, because we cannot have employees walk into the data centers or any of our offices, okay, to take care of any resolution of any issues. At the same time, banks being an essential services entity, we need to continue our operations. So let's say a branch is having challenges with the connectivity, then it becomes a mundane task force for the IT team to troubleshoot the issue and then get resolution. Other element that we also saw was there was an increase in the number of cyber attacks during the pandemic. Despite of deploying so many solutions, we still have the challenge in terms of looking at how do we make sure that the whole infrastructure is secure and safe, and the operations remain at the same level, okay, when the employees who are working out of the branches and the offices that we have. This is something that was a huge challenge for not only banking organizations, but other industry verticals as well. And this is where, okay, the Aruba remote access point and the VIA, virtual internet access client, okay, which is a VPN client, is going to be able to help, because I can deploy these solutions on the endpoint devices for a bank employee who is not IT savvy, and get them to use this product without having awareness of how this product works, or whether I need to enable security, I need to enable encryption. All that is handled automatically by the solution. And more than that, it comes with zero-touch provisioning, so that I don't need to have my IT team, okay, hand-holding my employees in the branches. At the same time, okay, the IT team is going to have full visibility to all the devices which are connecting from their homes, okay, so that managing and troubleshooting any issue that's reported by a branch employee or a bank employee is not going to be a huge issue, or wherein they need to ask the employee to come to one of the offices. So this is where, okay, we are looking at benefits coming in terms of automation, in terms of using solutions which can scale, and more than that, cybersecurity that integrates your other solutions that you have deployed, be it antivirus or be it firewall, and all the other security infrastructure that you are deployed for the banking organization, okay, to work with end users and enforce the similar level of security that they were enjoying in the bank. This is where I want to introduce the Aruba ESP architecture. This is an architecture which brings together the infrastructure, okay, that's used by the bank, be it a switch or a wireless, and then enable the banks to have a single pane of glass, so that the whole manageability aspect is handled by one single solution, which means I don't need to retrain my employees to learn some 5 different tools. They know one solution, and this solution is capable of looking at my complete network, okay, including my branches, including my zonal offices, and also brings in the visibility to the home offices which will emerge, okay, as part of the pandemic. And we are able to look at the devices that are connecting from home and make sure that they are having the same level of security enabled and activated. And the authentication that the users need to go through is not changing. For the authentication and authorization as well as the security, this is where the Aruba Zero Trust Security framework helps. ClearPass and ClearPass device insights play a key role in that. And it's not just that. Now, when something goes wrong in the network, I want to be able to troubleshoot the issue. And this is where the AIOps, that's part of the infrastructure, okay, is going to help in quickly gathering all the data that's required, the statistics and the footprint of the issue, and doing an analysis and presenting that analyzed data back to the bank employees so that it can be resolved quickly and at times before the end user reports the issue as well. Okay, so this is what the strength of this framework is. And then this is how we unify the wired and wireless across the branch. And it doesn't matter whether you're connecting over the SD-WAN, which is the 2.0 version that we support, which is SD branch. So it doesn't matter whether you're coming from a branch or you're coming from an individual home location. I don't need to have additional routers for the homes. I can still connect it either using the wire client, or I can put a remote access point so that I can extend the bank's network to the employee's home with the same level of security and the same level of connectivity experience. What they do is they just plug in their device either via wireless or via a LAN cable onto the remote access point, and they're good to go. There's no additional setup that's required. Covering all this is going to be the consumption model. This is where the HPEFS, the financial services, comes into play. And the whole solution can be either consumed as a service, or the network itself can be consumed as a service, wherein we rolled out the network as a service option to our customers about 8 months back, sometime just before the pandemic started hitting the world. And that is one place where, okay, we have seen a good momentum from our customer base, wherein they are looking at leveraging the tools that we have developed around the network for automation and also managing and also rolling out the network. One of the examples that I can state over here is during the pandemic, there was an order that was placed by one of the banks in India for rolling out their branch network. Okay, this is a bank with about 500 plus branches. Through the pandemic, we have managed to roll out 400 of those branches, and we have another 100 branches to roll out. And we are waiting for some of the containment exemptions and some of the other logistics issues to get resolved, okay, so that we can quickly roll out. Thinking back, okay, rolling out all the branches or even 500 branches in matter of days, in matter of weeks, especially during the pandemic with all the restrictions, is something that we are proud of. And this is where we can help banking industry in India. So the financial consumption model is something that we need to seriously consider. Given the pandemic, the capital expenses will be a challenge. And this is where, okay, the HPEFS, the infrastructure as a service or the network as a service is going to help in quickly onboarding technologies and then using, bringing up the network. And this is where I want to give you an example of a customer who placed the order during the pandemic for SD branch solution for about 500 branches. And during the pandemic, we managed to roll out 400 of those branches. We are just waiting for some of the logistics to get cleared up for the remaining 100, as well as okay, the containment areas to get relaxed, okay, so that we can safely roll out the remaining 100 branches as well. So rolling out multiple branches, okay, with new technology is going to be a challenge. Every banker knows that. Every BFSI organization knows that. And if we are able to deliver this during the pandemic, okay, with the leveraging the technologies that we have, especially the zero-touch provisioning and the centralized policy management. Okay, this is going to be a huge benefit to all our customers, okay, and the banking industry in India, so that the same can be leveraged. Let me quickly dive through the three technical attributes of the ESP architecture. Very first thing we look at is how do I unify the infrastructure? So if you look at the challenges that exist over here, we have a variety of technologies which are there, and then each of these technologies have their own dashboards, their own management tools, and many of the OEMs have separate management tools for their wireless and wired switching infrastructure and the wireless infrastructure. This is where Aruba has unified the infrastructure with a single pane of glass, with Aruba Central coming into play and helping our customers in getting visibility to their entire network with just 2 clicks. So you can look at any element or any aspect of your network with around 2 to 3 clicks. Okay, so I start from a site, and then from a site I go into a specific area of network, or I can search for something, okay, that I'm looking for, and then I can dive down rather than having to go through an exhaustive menu of or navigating through a menu of choices. And the user experience insight is another technology that we have, which is played a very key role, being a 24/7 technician on site, so that the banking organization can have insights into what's happening in their network. And then especially at the branches, is my branch able to access all the key applications that are essential for my operations 24/7. So I can go and check on the core banking solutions, okay, access to core banking, log into the core banking. If there's any problem with that, I raise an alert and then help the IT team in giving the exact root cause details of where the problem resides, okay, whether it's DHCP or it's a link issue, okay, or it's something else, firewall, or it could be an issue that's there, okay, in one of the data center areas. So we can look at these level of detail, okay, with a single tool, and this is going to be able to do these tests 24/7 or as per the schedule that's configured by the bank. The next thing that comes into picture is going to be the security. So this is where I want to be able to distinguish the different devices which are connecting to the network, and also look at some of the legacy devices which might be there. Okay, there might be some applications which are still dependent on Windows 7 or Windows, some of the older versions of Windows, where the support has been stopped by the OEM, but we still have dependency on that. Can I create an isolated island for these so that I monitor this closely for any kind of access that's there? And then maybe give role-based access to the whole network, so that irrespective of where the user is connecting from, okay, they are going to be able to have the same role being granted to them. And this plays a key role in terms of leveraging the strength of branches or working from anywhere within the bank. I don't need to be seated in my seat in order to connect to the network and work for carry out my day-to-day work. Going forward, AIOps is something that is trending today, and everyone is looking at how do I bring in automation, okay, to all the aspects or all the operational aspects which are there in our day-to-day lives. So this is where the Aruba AIOps comes into picture, wherein we are looking at or we have solutions which are going to help in accelerating the resolution by identifying the root cause. And then in many situations, we also have the ability to predict that this is something that can go wrong, okay, based on some of the configurational settings that is there on your network, and give you recommendations so that you can fix those issues before they impact the end user. And this way, we are able to constantly optimize the network and keep it running 24/7 so that the end user experiences are not compromised. Looking at the pandemic situation, okay, it's going to be a challenge for us to have all the tools which are essential to be available for us. So these are the tools and technologies that work, okay, that build into or build up to the ESP architecture for Aruba. And we are not introducing new products, but we are redeploying and then fortifying as well as strengthening our existing solutions to play together, to work together and collaborate, okay, in a much better way, okay, so that the end user experiences and the IT experiences are very different from what they typically are going to be. So I can change the whole networking landscape so that I can retire or I can prevent or arrest the sprawl of VLANs, arrest the sprawl of ACL, and minimize them, okay, but still have the same level of security, okay, for all my switched network. Meridian is a platform which enables us to deliver location-based services, and this is where we can look at the footfalls of employees as well as the customers who come and visit your branches, and perhaps deliver promotional messages or messages that you want to convey to them that make sense to them based on their profile and based on their current banking requirements, rather than flooding them with the marketing campaigns. One of the things that I noticed as a banking customer was during the pandemic, okay, there were a lot of banks which were offering me loans, either on car or on property. You also need to look at whether these facilities are going to be consumed by all your customers. And this is where the strength of, okay, getting the insights and then being able to give specific messages or run specific campaigns for specific customers is going to help. Moving forward, pandemic and bringing employees back to work is on top of all our minds. And this is where the Aruba contact tracing solution, okay, which is capable of looking at both contact tracing and social distancing norms, using the network as a sensor, is going to play a role. And with this, we can monitor and manage the densities of people who are there in different parts of the building, and making sure that the resources that are there in the bank, okay, especially printers or anything else that's shared, is not getting crowded, okay, and they are not clusters. They are not, I mean, we don't have clusters in the offices, okay, wherein there's a possibility of them spreading the infection in case one of the employees is infected. And also being able to provide any statistical data, okay, to any regulatory organization as required. Also using this information for managing our own day-to-day operations and making sure that everyone is safe when they are working from the branches or offices. This is a solution that we started working on around the beginning of the pandemic, and then we have active POCs that we are running across multiple verticals in India and outside of India as well. And customers who are seeing these POCs are liking this because of the strength of and the insights that they get into the collaborative activities as well as the interactions that happen within the buildings, and come up with mechanisms or methods to see how they can incorporate or inculcate the social distancing norms, okay, as well as eliminating the contacts. So ultimately, we are leveraging this tool to bring in autonomous workplace, wherein everything can be run without anyone touching anything or being able to manage things in a contactless manner. So, and then at the same time, when somebody reports an issue, okay, you are able to quickly troubleshoot or identify who are the people whom we need to work with, and also figure out where all this person spent time so that you can sanitize only those spaces, okay, or do a deeper cleansing on those spaces so that your workplace is always safe. In conclusion, is your network flexible enough so that you have seamless connectivity being delivered to all your employees irrespective of where they are, whether they are in offices, your zonal office, your branch office, or your headquarters, or they are required to connect from home and continue working, and then at the same time have the same level of security that you have in your branch offices or in your head office, and then ultimately ensure that the user experience, be it connectivity to the network or be it customer experiences in terms of identifying which customers visited my branches, how long they spent, and what did they do in the branch. And based on this, can I do some analysis and promote my products and services that are relevant to them, okay, and then see how I can help them. We have done this promotional activities for the websites very effectively because we can put cookies and identify. But the moment it comes to the physical space, it becomes a challenge. So this is where Aruba can help in leveraging the network as a sensor and also bringing in the seamless connectivity for all the employees irrespective of their location and connect. So contact us either directly, okay, you can reach out to me at the contacts that I mentioned here, or you can reach out to an Aruba specialist or a HPE employee, or you can also reach out to our partner community to find out more about the solutions that we discussed today, and then see how they can benefit you and how you can automate the operations at in your organization, okay, to be able to cater to any kind of business continuity requirements that will emerge going forward. Okay, thank you very much and have a nice day.
I hope you have gained some insight from this session, and I would like to bring to your notice that exhibition booth in the expo area are definitely a visit. So I hope that you will connect with our experts, and I will see you on the other side.